Okay, let's make this flying carpet in TouchDesigner right now. You can apply any image file you want to this project, such as this playing card or even this pirate flag. So let's get started. Just press Tab on the keyboard to open the Op Create dialog, go to the SOPs category and click on Grid, and then just drop the grid anywhere. Now let's right click on the output of the grid, click on Noise, and drop Noise to the right of Grid. You can see that the noise is already deforming our grid. And now let's make it so that our grid has some shadows on it. So what we're going to do is right click on the output of noise. Now click on Attribute Create and drop that to the right of noise. Now in the parameters of Attribute Create, just click Compute Normals. So we have Compute Normals turned on, and now you can see the surface of our grid is much more interesting. Now it has some shadows in it. So at this point, we have a grid, we have a noise deforming the grid, we have Attribute Create, which is basically computing the normals, or in other words, it's making shadows on our grid. Now we're going to begin to apply a texture to our geometry, so I'm going to show you how to do that now. Let's right-click on the output of our Attribute Create operator, go to the Comp category, click on Geometry, and place geometry to the right of Attribute Create. And I'm actually going to scoot the geometry operator to the right a little bit so that we can make some room for operators that we need to place later. And now we're basically going to go get an image file, and that image file is basically just going to be the texture of a Persian rug so that our grid starts to look like a flying carpet. So let's just go open our web browser. In your web browser, just go to Google Images. In Google Images, just search for Persian rug texture. I'm just going to click on this first result, and it's from dreamstime.com. And in the right-hand side of your web browser, just right-click on that image, click Save Image As. Now just drag and drop that rug image into TouchDesigner, just like this. Now let's just move this image so it's below the geometry. Now we are almost ready to apply this image file to our geometry. We just need one more operator in between the image file and the geometry itself. So let's press Tab on the keyboard to open the OP Create dialog. Now we're going to go to the Materials category. We're going to click on Phong and just drop Phong in between Geo and the image file. Now we're going to drag the image file onto the Phong. So just drag that image file onto the Phong, drop that, and then click on Color Map. And now the Phong should have the texture of the image file that we chose. Now we're going to apply the Phong to our geometry. So drag Phong onto Geo until the border of Geo turns green, and then just drop Phong. And now click on Material. And now your geometry should show the texture of the image file that you dropped in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that our geometry can be exported or rendered as an actual movie file. So we're just going to add a few operators around the Geo area here. So let's just press Tab on the keyboard to open the OP Create dialog, go to the Comp category, and click on Camera, and then drop the camera somewhere above our geometry operator. Now let's press Tab on the keyboard one more time, and this time click on Light, and drop light somewhere to the right of the camera. Now we have geometry, camera, and light. Let's press Tab on the keyboard one more time. This time go into the top category and just click on Render and drop that render somewhere to the right of your geometry below the light. And now our flying carpet is being rendered. But our flying carpet is being viewed from top down, so let's adjust the camera a little bit so that that's being viewed kind of from the side. Let's click on our camera operator and then click on this little button in the corner of the camera operator. It's the button that says Viewer Active. And now with the Viewer Active on the camera operator, we're just going to click in the operator here, hold down the mouse button, and then drag a little bit upward in the up direction. And as we do that, the camera will shift. So now the flying carpet is being viewed from the side instead of from a top-down angle. So I noticed that our flying carpet is a square shape, but it should be more of a rectangle shape. So let's adjust that right now. Let's go to our grid operator at the very beginning of the project. And in the parameters for our grid operator, let's just adjust the X value of the size parameter. Let's just adjust that X value to about 1.5. So I just adjusted the X value of the size parameter to 1.5, and you can see that now we have a rectangle instead of a square. And now our flying carpet is a rectangle instead of a square. So just to do a quick recap, we are creating geometry using the grid operator. We are deforming that geometry using the noise operator. We are creating some normals in that geometry by using the attribute create operator. And then we're sending that geometry to an actual geometry operator. That geometry operator is kind of presenting the geometry to our camera and our light. The camera is observing our geometry. The light is shining light onto our geometry. And then we have our image file, which is being applied to the Phong. And then the Phong is being applied to our geometry. Last but not least, our geometry is being rendered by the render operator. Let's just do a few finishing touches here. What I'm going to do is add a transform operator onto the end of render to make a black background for us. So let's right click on the output of render and just click on transform and drop transform somewhere to the right of render. In the parameters of the render operator under background color, in the fourth box, we're going to change that from 0 to 1 and then turn on the toggle switch that says comp over background color. And then let's click on the button that says display in the corner of the transform operator. And now our animation appears in the background of TouchDesigner, and it actually looks pretty good in that view. One thing that I had fun with in this project was to change that rug image file to something like a playing card or a pirate's flag. So you can just drag any image file and drop that in here, such as this playing card image file. And then you can just drag and drop that new image file onto the Phong, just like this, and click on color map. And now our Persian rug transformed into a playing card. Now I'm going to drag in a pirate flag image file. I'm going to drag and drop that pirate flag image file onto the Phong and click on color map. And now we have a pirate flag. So that's about it for this tutorial. I hope you got something out of this. If this tutorial did help you, then just give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe.